Let's make some game night nachos. Welcome back to the Whole Food Plant-Based Cooking Show, where we make plant-based cooking easy. Let's get our nachos on. So I'm going to start with our chips. We are making our own tortillas so that we don't have to, the store-bought ones are all cooked in oil. So these will not be. I just have some regular corn tortillas here, and if you can, look for those ones that it's just corn and lime. The other ones are they're okay, but these are the best. So what I do usually, I just cut them in half, just got them stacked up like this, and then I cut that stack into thirds. And that makes a really nice sized chip. Oops. And I'm going to do the whole package, and we'll see how many we can fit here on my cookie tray. So I've got my tray here lined with a piece of parchment paper so they don't stick, and I've got my oven preheated to 350 degrees. So you're just going to lay them out on your cookie sheet, and I'm not putting anything on them because there's so many toppings that go on these that you really don't need to flavor your chips. You just want them to be nice and crunchy. And that's the good thing about making these too. These are a super, super crunchy chip. And when you pile all that stuff on there, you know how the chips sometimes go really soggy. Well, these guys hold their crispness pretty well and for a good amount of time. All right, so I'm just gonna finish spreading these out on this tray, and then we'll get them into the oven. Okay, so now our chips are in the oven. I'm keeping them in there for about 8 minutes, and then I'll flip them and bake them for a little bit longer. So now on to the ground topping. So this is to replace like a ground beef or like a taco meat. So I've got 4 ounces of mushrooms that I've diced pretty small. And then I've got about 1/3 of a package of super firm tofu. I just wanted to show you, this is a really firm, so it's not the extra firm, it's a super firm. So the extra firm is a little bit softer than this, that you could still use, but I like the extra firm because it's a little bit more dry. And I already crumbled it up. I just crumble it with my hands. And we're gonna put that in there together on medium heat. And as those mushrooms cook, they're going to release their water, and so it won't stick. But if you do experience a little sticking, you can always just add like a tablespoon of water just to keep it off of there. Okay, and now I've got all these spices. So I've got a teaspoon of oregano, teaspoon of smoked paprika, a teaspoon of onion powder. And what's this? A teaspoon of, did I already say cumin? No, cumin. And then I've got a teaspoon of, this is green salt, like I showed before. Well, I'll give you a link in the details below about green salt. It's half the sodium of regular table salt, but it's actually a plant. So it's not a refined sugar or salt. And then a 1/2 teaspoon of black pepper. And we're just gonna mix that up there. And I'm just going to cook this really until the mushrooms release all of their liquid and it's reabsorbed and it's a nice crumbly dry mixture. So I'm thinking a good 5 minutes or so. While we're waiting for that, I'd like to share some background on our show. The Whole Food Plant-Based Cooking Show is crowd-funded, which means these free weekly recipe videos, along with our entire catalog of free printable recipes on our website, plantbasedcookingshow.com, and our Plant-Based Cooking Made Easy cookbook series are all made possible in part by the generous patronage of our supporting membership community. Our supporting members gain access to great member perks like our monthly product giveaways, ebooks, and in-depth courses, including our 28 Days Plant-Based Made Easy course, where we offer a step-by-step guide to making the switch to a fully plant-based diet. So if you love our recipes, I invite you to join us on our mission to make plant-based cooking easy, and follow the link in the description to become a supporting member today. Okay, let's get back to the show. Okay, so our crumble is done. If you want to come in and take a look, it smells so good. I can't wait to dig into that. And then our chips are done. See where that's serious, that is some crunch. So those are ready. So now we're on to the pico de gallo. And we will give you a printable link in the details below if you want all the ingredients and the amounts. So we're going to start off. I've got one Roma tomato that I cut up, just diced it really small. So it's about, you know, a little over a half a cup. I'm not making a huge amount because I just want the amount that we're going to use on the nachos. And then about a quarter of a cup of diced red onion. The same with cilantro, diced really fine. And then I'm going to use a little bit more of the green salt. So here's the green salt that I was telling you about, but we'll give you a link to that also. Just for a little bit of a salty flavor. And then lime juice. So I'm just going to use about half of a lime. So that'll give it that nice tang and fresh flavor. Okay. And then we'll just stir it together. Okay, so those elements are done. So now I'm going to move this stuff out of the way and we'll start on our nacho cheese and the guacamole. So many elements. Okay, so now on to the nacho cheese sauce. Yum, yum, yum. All right, so we've got a half a cup of cashews, tablespoon of raisins, a half teaspoon of tamari, or you could use a low sodium soy sauce or Bragg's liquid aminos, 1 tablespoon of white wine vinegar, and then I've got a tablespoon of nutritional yeast and a half teaspoon of onion powder, a half teaspoon of smoked paprika, and then a half cup of water. And we are just going to blend this up in our NutriBullet until it's really nice and creamy. Okay, so our nacho cheese is done and ready. I think that's my favorite part. All right, so now we're just on to making just a really simple guacamole. I don't like to make a really complicated guacamole. Really, it's just avocado and some lime juice. And you can always put, you know, you can do it however you want. But I like to keep it simple just because there's so many other elements already. I don't feel like we need even more flavors in there. Just the avocado by itself with a little bit of lime juice is delicious. Oops. Squeeze some lime juice in there. And then I just mash it up with a fork. Okay, I'm going to finish mashing this up and then I'll get all of our elements out along with some more toppings and then we'll put it all together. Time to assemble. So I'm just going to put all my chips on my plate. Okay, and some of my crumble. These smell so amazing. And you can put as much or as little of this stuff on as you want. I think I'm not going to put all of this on there. Now I can save that. You can always put that in a container and put it in the freezer for the next time you make nachos. Then I'll put some pico de gallo on there. I love these kind of dinners. I know this is for more like an appetizer, but sometimes I like to have something like this just for my dinner. It's just something kind of light. It's refreshing, and of course, it's chips. I love chips. And then we sprinkle on some beans on here. Now the toppings are completely up to you and what you prefer on your nachos, but I love beans, and these are our Rancho Gordo beans, which are so good. And guess what? Here's another use for those sprouts, like that last sprout show that we had. This is another way just to amp up the nutrition. Get some sprouts in there. Why not? Okay, and then I've got some green onion just chopped up and some jalapenos, but you know what, I'm gonna put on my cheese sauce first here. And I put it in a squirter tray just so I could kind of control where it goes. Just gonna go back and forth. And you can always add more to your serving. Oops. And then I'll put the jalapenos on the top, because I like my nachos spicy, but that's completely up to you. All right, well, I'm gonna get a plate and I'll meet you over at the table for a taste. All right, let's dig in. Okay, I gotta get a little of everything. I'll dip it in some guac. I love chips and crunchy things, but when it's topped with all of this stuff, it's even better. Be sure to try this out, guys. Come on back next week for another great recipe.